everyone. Welcome back. This is Seema, Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering from Kaveri Institute of Technology, Mandya. As for then, we have discussed still literals in Java. So, in today's class, I'm going to explain you about the variables in Java. So, what do you mean by a variable? What is the role of variables? How we are going to declare a particular variable in case of a Java, and then how we are going to initialize a variables with respect to a Java, and then what are the differences, benefits, and what are the disadvantages of using this variables, and what do you mean by a memory locations? All those things we will discuss in today's session. So let's quickly start with the very first topic, that is with respect to an introduction to variables. So what do you mean by a variable in essence? So this variable is nothing but it acts as a basic unit of a storage in a Java program. So variable is a unit of a storage, or it is a name of some reserved memory or a reserved area memory. So this basic unit is also called as a reserved area memory. So this variable is the name of a reserved area. So these reserved areas of a particular memory of particular variables are allocated in a memory. So variable is a name of a reserved area which is allocated in the memory. So or otherwise it is also called as an, it's a name of a memory location. So it's a name of the memory location. So variable is nothing but a name of a memory location. So it acts as a basic unit of storage in Java program. So has the name itself, it has the name itself suggests variable. So here we have a two different words called the two different phrases, which is called as a vary plus able. So variable is combinations of vary plus able. So vary in a sense changes, right? So since vary means the changes, this vary plus means vary plus able will eventually means that the value of a particular variable is changed, or the value can be changed. The value of a particular variable can be changed. So variable is acts as a basic unit of a storage in a program. So these variables are the reserved areas which are located in a memory, or it is also called as a name of a particular memory location. The variables itself as a two different phrases, vary plus able, which means the value of a particular variables will be changed. So this is the this is about the very first point. So let's see with respect to variables. So this variables is defined by a combinations of an identifiers, a type, and an operational or an optional initializers. So whenever I'm going to define any particular variables, so these variables can be defined by using an identifier. So for example, I'm going to define an identifier called v1. So this is my identifier called v1, and I'm going to specify the type. So this is the data type. So here I'm going to specify as int. So this is the, this is how we are going to define a particular variable. So here it's an identifier called v1. So v1 is a name of a variable. So this is a name of an identifier or a name of a particular variable, and here it is an data type, or here it is a type of a variable. So either this might be an int, or it might be a float, or it might be a double. But whenever we are going to declare, or whenever we are going to initialize any particular variable, we have to declare a specific type. So we can also initialize some values for a particular variables. For example, here I have initialized called int v1. So you know, in order to have an initialization purpose, I may have to initialize like int v1 is equals to 10. Now in this example, 10 bytes of memory is allocated for variable called v1. So v1 is allocated with 10 bytes of memory. So v1 is allocated with 10 bytes of memory. So this is how the representation of variables will taken up in case of Java programming. So as I said, variable is a name of memory location. So these are used to store the memory location. So these are used to store the variables. So let's see how we are going to declare a particular variables. So we can declare the variables as a kind of data it will store. So as I said, we are going to declare it. For example, I said like int v1, right? I have taken an example called int v1. So in order to declare anything, we need to have a particular data type. We need to have a particular data type, and we need to have a variable name or an identifier. So this is the syntax for declaring the variable. So type as well as a variable. So this is, we can declare the Java variables by using this syntax. So that is type and name. So here this type can be stored in the variable. So type of a data can be stored in this variable. So whichever the data type it is, so based on that type of a data that can be stored in this variable. So this name is a name which is given to the variable. So a name can only be given to a memory location. So these names can be only given to a particular memory locations. So let's see with different perspectives. Variables displays the named memory location whose values can be changed during the execution of program. So as I said, the name itself suggests that it is variable. So it is varying the value. So it is the value of a particular variable. So the values are varying. Since the values of particular variables are varying, so these variables will display the named storage location whose values can be changed during the execution of a program. So it will display the each and every storage location. Because why? Because this value of a particular variables is constantly changed. So we can display the named memory location of a particular variables. It acts as a basic unit of a storage. The syntax is type and variable name. So as I said, type and variable name is a syntax of declaring a particular variable. So here the type represents the data type, and variable will types the variable name will gives the different names of a variable. So the next type of a syntax is type variable name, variable name, variable name. So in case of variables, we can declare multiple numbers of variables. So by using this syntax, we can define different types of variables with same data type. For example, I can declare type as int. So I declare my variable 1 as age. So I represents the age with respect to an integer data types, and my salary with respect to an integer data types, and one more is with respect to an integer data type is by using an int I can even say my uh, I can even say my degree. So right now, in which how many degrees I have obtained. So number of degrees obtained. So number of degrees. So these are the three different variables which I am going to declare by using a data type called int. So let's see an example, different examples for these scenarios. So here we have an example called int. So by using an integer, they can declare a variable called width and height. But here they can initialize a value for height. So they are initialize a value for a variable called height. So next they're going to declare a data type called char for a variable letter, and store a string, that is C. They can store a string of character, that is C. Since it is a string of a character, it will enclose within a single quotes. So next I'm going to declare a data type called float with the two different variables. One is age and one is area. So next I have declared a double for some variable called D. So these are the different variable declaration method, or these are the examples of declaring a variables for different types of identifiers or different variable names with different data types. So this is how we can declare a variables in Java. Next we have an initialization of values. So as the name itself suggests, initializing. So what do you mean by an initializing? So initializing or initialization is nothing but assigning a value. So assigning a value for a particular variable is called an initialization of variable. So assigning a value for a particular variable is called as a initialization. So by assigning a particular values for a variable, so there can be of a two different types. One is a static, that is the memory is determined for a variables when the program starts. So if I say it is static, then it is constant, it cannot be a change. So once the value is assigned within a program, and these values cannot be changed over the program. Next is dynamic. So this can be declared anywhere in the programs, and it eventually changes across any running states. So first we declare, in case of a static, we said that it is somehow this static will have a constant values. So let's see how we can initialize a particular variable. So if I say int age is equals to 20. So I am taking an example called int age is equals to 20. So each and everything will end with a semicolon in Java. So whenever I am going to initialization, so it will be terminated by using a semicolon. Here I am going to represent a data type. Here it is an integer data type, and the variable name is age. Age is a variable name, and I am going to assign a value for a variable called age as 20. So this is the value, that is 20. I am assigning a value called 20 to a variable called age. So how it will be, how it looks like is, so it will allocate value 20 for age inside a memory location. So inside a memory location, it will allocate a 20 value. It will allocate some memory of 20 whole. So this is how the initialization process will taken up. So in your syllabus, we can have a dynamic initialization of variables. So let's see how this dynamic initialization of variables can taken up. So this type of initialization is done during the runtime. So during the running status of a program, we can going to initialize the variable in case of a dynamic initialization purpose. So like this dynamic initialization is needed for utilizing the memory in a very efficient manner, or in order to have a format which will use the overloaded constructors. So about this constructor, we're going to study it with in detail in the upcoming sessions. Uh, so this dynamic initialization will has the flexibility of using different formats of data. So it helps to use different formats, and we can also use setter and getter methods. So by using this dynamic initialization, we can also make use of different we can also make use of different setter and getter method. So in case of a dynamic initialization, along with the constructors, along with these constructors, we can also make use of different setters and getters method, and along with that we can also make use of different methods. So we can also make use of different methods, and we can also make use of different built-in APIs in order to initialize the variables in a dynamic manner. So this is how we can going to have a dynamic initialization process. So there basically we have a many three different types of variables in a Java, and let's see with each and every types of variables. So there are three different types of variables in Java, and they are local variables, global variables, local variables, instance variables, and static variables. So local variables are variables which are declared inside the body of a method. So these variables will declared inside a body of a method. We can use this variable within that method and other methods where the class are not even aware of that variables exist. So this variables, if I say a variable, it can be declared within a class. So this local variables can be declared within a class. So these variables can be declared within a class. So how it looks like means, if I say take an examples of a class A, so I need to declare a variables called int age. So int age, then have ended with something. So this int age is there, or it is usable only for a class called A. So none of the other classes other than this class A will not even aware that this int age will present in a class A. So these local variables are a variables that are declared inside a body of a particular method. So these local variables cannot be defined with a static keyword. So these are cannot be declared with a static keyword. So these local variables cannot declared with static keyword. So these local variables cannot declared with static keywords. So next we have a instance variable. So what do you mean by an instance is, we can declare a variables inside a class but outside a method. So whatever we are going to declare, we are going to declare inside a class but outside a method. So for example, so this instance variables is also declared without any static keyword. They are defined outside a method declaration. So outside a method declaration, I need to define this. So take an example. So here have a class A. So have a class A, and next I have some method here. So have some void main or void method. Have some void method. So inside this have an int n. I have int n and have closed this. So what this int n will access? This is my local. Since it is only exit for method, void method, it is called as a local variable, right? So how we are going to declare an instance variables is, so now I'm going to have a main method, that is public static void main. So and string args, right? This is how we can declare any particular main, right? So string args. So within that main method, have data is equals to 50, and have ended this. And again, I need to end a main method also. So here here there's a class and it eventually begins with a method. So inside a method, I declare a variable called int_n. So this is only local or visible inside a method. So it is local. So other than that, I have a method. So inside a method, I declare a variable called int data is equals to 50. So this is inside the main method, but outside a method. So this is inside a main, but outside a method, right? So this instance variables is the variables which are defined outside a method declaration. So this is an example of declaring an instance variables. So these are the variables which are declared inside a main but outside a method declaration. So inside a main, outside a method declaration. So let's see what the next type. So these instance variables are also an object specific and they are also known as instance variables. So next is static. So these are the variables which are initialized only once and are at the starting of a program execution. So these are at the beginning. So if I want to declare anything as a static, I need to declare it in the beginning. So how we are going to declare this as, so this variable should be initialized first before initializing any instance of variable. So before going to write or before going to initialize any variables, we have to initialize a static variables. Consider an example scenario. I write a program for class A. So I need to, if I want to declare a static variables, first I need to initialize a static variables at the start of a program. So static have an integer and I hold the value for integer m as my 100. Then have a method. So inside a method, I need to have some int a or int a something. So next I have some main. So that is public static void main. So inside a main, I can even write as int b. So here this initialization of a particular variable is associated with a keyword called static. So this is a static variable. So this is a static variable. Since it is static, it has to be declared at the first. So it has to be initialized first and it always should be at the start of a program. So it is at the start of a program, that is static int m is equals to 100. So next, here have an int a which is declared inside a method. So it is local. Next I have an int b. So it is declared inside a main but outside a method. So it is instance variable. So these are the three different types of variables: static, local and instance variables. Clear with this? Let's move on. Next we have a scope and lifetime of a particular variable. So each and every variables will have their own scope or will have their own identity. So here also the variables or the variables will also have a scope. So what is the scope of a particular variables, or what's the main concern with respect to scope and lifetime of a variables in Java? We'll study. So this Java will allows the variables to be declared in any blocks. So this block will defines a scope. So the scope of a variables will refers to areas or the section of a program in which the variables is accessed. So the variables, so it says that the Java will allows variables to be declared in any block. So any block, in a sense, it can be declared. So the variables can be declared at any part of an areas or even at sections, right? So the scope of a variables will refers to the areas or the sections of a particular program in which the variables can be declared or variables can be accessed. So whereas the lifetime is nothing but how long the variables will stay alive. So how long the variables will stay alive. So this will give the lifetime. What do you mean by a scope of a variable means Java will allows the variables to be declared in any block. So these blocks might be an areas or it might be a sections of declaring a variables. So these sections of a programs in which the variables can be accessed is called as a scope of a particular variables. Whereas the lifetime of a variables is nothing but how long the particular variables will stay alive or will stay in a particular program. So this is the scope and lifetime of a variables. So let's see with different perspective. So each time when we start a new block, we starting a new scope. So whenever we are going to declare any variables, it will start with a new areas or it will start with a new blocks and it will create a new scope. So this scope will determine what the objects are visible to other part of a program and it also determines the lifetime of those objects. So it eventually describes which are the different objects are visible to other part of a program and how it will determines the lifetime of an object. So all those things will determined by a scope of a particular object. So basically there are two major scopes. One is defined by a class and another one is by using a method. So by using defined by a method and defined by a class. So let's see what do you mean by a defined by a class and defined by a method. How we are going to define in with respect to a class and with respect to a methods. So the scope which is defined by a method will always begins with open curly braces. So as a general rule, the variables declared inside a scope are not visible to the code that is defined outside the scope. So let's see with respect to how these two things are eventually begins. So let to know about defined by a class and defined by a method strategies. So defined by a class. So these variables must be declared inside a class. So these are also called as a class level scope. So which are defined by a class, the variables which are defined by a class. So these are called as a, it is also called as a class level scope or in other words, it is also called as a member variables. So with the variables which are defined, the scope and lifetime of a variables which are defined by a class is called as a class level scope and it also called as a member variables. So these variables must be declared inside a class that is outside any particular functions and they can be accessed directly anywhere in a class. So they can be accessed anywhere inside a class. So we can declare the class variables anywhere in the class but outside the method. So we can declare the class anywhere in the program but outside a class. So this access specifier or access which are specified of a member variables will doesn't affect any scope of a particular class. So next we have a defined by a method. So this defined by a method is also called as method level scope. So this defined by a method is eventually called, or it eventually called as method level scope. So it is called as method level scope, and they are for local variables. So these are for local variables. So in case of a method which are defined by a variable, local variables, let's see. So these variables are declared inside a method and they have a method level scope. So they have a method level scope and they cannot be accessed outside a method. So which means these variables can be accessed. So these scope and the lifetime of a variables can be accessed within a particular method. So within a particular method itself, we need to access any variable. So within a method, we can going to access any particular method. So how this inside a method, so we need to define it inside a method. So how is, so let's take an example of class test. So here class test, so I need to have a void method. So since this method level scope is always executed within a method, void method. Next have declaring a variable called hex. So this is how we can declare a method level scope. So this is how we can declare a method level scope. So inside a method, so it can be declared inside a method. So there are some important points about a variables in scope. So in general, if we declare any scope of particular variables, so those scope will always begins with a set of curly braces, that is open and close curly braces. So these open and close curly braces will eventually define the scope of a particular variables. Then in Java, we can usually access a variables as long as it was defined within same set of brackets, that is within a open and close curly braces, and we are writing or within any curly braces inside a curly brackets where the variables were defined. So in order to access any particular variables, those particular variables will be declared inside a open and close curly braces. So those which are declared inside a open and close curly braces can be easily accessed. So the next point is any variables which are declared in a class outside of any method can be used by a member method. So in case of a methods which are defined by a method level scope, so this third points will eventually says about a method level scope. So it is all about a method level scope. So any variables which are defined inside a class but outside of any method which can be used by all the member methods. So it will eventually depends on method level scope. So the next point is when a method will has the same local variables as a member, and this keyword can be used to reference the current class variable. So we are going to use a variables which are accessed at a same local memory. So we can use this same local memory as a member functions or a member variables in order to have a reference variable. So by using this reference variables, we can give a reference to a current class variable. So we can give a reference to a current class variables by using some local variables. So the next important points with respect to variable scope in Java is for a variables to be read after the termination of a loop, it must be declared before a body of a loop. So whichever the variables that are read after a termination of a loop, so those variables must be declared before the body of a loop. So the loop which have to be terminated, that must be declared before the body of a loop. So it is a common strategy, right? If we want to terminate something, in the beginning it has to be declared. So in the same case of a variables also, if you want to terminate any variables after we are finished up with reading, so those variables will eventually declare before the body of a loop. So these are the very important points with respect to a variables scope in Java. So next we have a type conversions and casting. So what do you mean by this type conversions and casting is this is one of a conversion technology. So the process of converting a variables of one predefined type into another predefined type. So one type of variables will eventually convert into another type of variables. So let's see with how this type conversions or type casting will taken up in case of a Java.